Hi my muddy people, welcome back. I'm Nat at Mud Magic. Thank you for joining me again for another session on Stevie. I wasn't planning to do this video at all, but this is my redemption video because I was so disappointed with the last big bowl with how bad that video was. I've left it up because I love the ninja pull that I did in the middle. And also because I ended up getting the bowl that I wanted out of it. But the whole throwing of it was really bad. But I guess it's a good way of showing you how you can recover from a bad throw. I only wish I had have kept videoing because I ended up making it into a bowl straight away. I said I was going to leave it and let it dry a bit before I made it into a bowl. But I ended up pushing it and it worked. And so I really wish I had have kept videoing. So I'm going to video this one to the end. So here it is after I have trimmed it. And I told you I wanted to do the shell carving, the Nautilus shell carving inside, and carve the holes out of the rim. So that is what I had seen on YouTube. Never tried anything like it. So that was the disastrous ninja flop bowl, the last video, or the last pulling video that I did, throwing video, sorry. And it worked in the end. So yay, so even more proof to never give up on a piece. So I want to try and do it again. This time, again, like I said last time, I was trying for the biggest bowl that Freddie would take. He takes around about 40 centimeters. My wheel head is 33, so I know it's kind of like my pan width. If I can stick to that, then I should be about right. So I've already centered it, as I always do, and I'm just going to go for it. Again, I'm not going to rush because it just causes disasters. So you can fast forward if you want. I don't edit. So let's just go for it. So I'm not sure how this will be. So again, the other reason I'm doing this is because I had the last one I did was 5 kilos of clay, which is half a bag. I had bags in Australia are 10 kilos now with cans. So I had 5 kilos left. So I thought, well, I just did a 5 kilo disaster. Let's do another one. Well, not another disaster. Oh, so I'm just gonna, I want to do this one more in my old style V shape. I want to try and do a defying gravity bowl, which I love the look of them, and I think they make beautiful fruit bowls. May carve it as well, actually, like the one I tried to carve last time. Sorry, I was trying to think of her name, the lady in Jamaica, lost her name, but she does beautiful carvings. And so the last time I did one of these bowls, I tried to carve it in her kind of like leaf shaped carving that she does, and I'd left it a little bit too dry and it cracked halfway up, so I made it into a smaller bowl. And then I wasn't happy with the glaze that ended up on it either, so it never really survived. So maybe I'll do that again. Sally Roper, that's her name. I knew it would come to me. So yeah, maybe see what we end up with, because you know, you never, I rarely end up with what's initially in my head. So with the V-shaped bowls, I always start with a small pull out inside, because you want it to be small and then go out. So I don't pull out too much. And then as you go with your pulls and things, you ends up going out a bit more anyway. So then I just kind of like compress it, feel my wall, see if it feels happy, and then just go for it. Just compress that a bit more. I've also wedged up, if this works, I've also wedged up I've marbled some brown and white clay, just a small amount. So I thought, well, if this works, if this video works, then I'll keep going and I'll just throw that one as well, so you've got the comparison of how I throw a big one and a small one and the differences. So the biggest problem that you'll find with big pieces of clay is them flopping, so you really want to try and get them, as you saw in my last video, you really want to try and get it from the start going inwards, in and up. Up being the operative word, but also trying to get that clay up from the bottom, because that other one would have been a much bigger bowl, but I had to end up trimming a lot of clay out of it because it was so wet and it was so unhappy. I had to leave it a lot earlier than I normally would have. So it's so I had to trim heaps out of it. It was quite thick and heavy. So we'll just see what we can do with this one. I'm just going to try this time and just keep it going inwards right from the beginning. Compress it around. Bit of an odd shape, but that's okay, no matter. It's not what I'm going to end up with. At this point it's more about trying to get all of that clay up. And not thinning the rim too much. So as I said last time, no rock fingers from me when I collar like that. Thank you, Gwen, for the laugh over the rock fingers comment. Especially with a large piece like this, it's not practical. So I just, as you saw, I just use my whole palms. As long as you're getting the points of contact on the clay, it's fine. No need to be fancy. Also too, the benefit of collaring it in is you get more height, which we all love. Well, I love. I'm assuming we all love. Compresses your clay a bit as well, but the main reason I'm doing it is because I want to do that V shape I was saying in the beginning, so I need to keep that bottom in a bit. I don't want it going out too much or it's just going to be a bowl, which would be fine. I don't mind, but I would like to do one of the V-shaped bowls, and maybe, as I say, maybe make it a carved bowl like Sally Roper does. Not that my carvings will be as good as hers. She just does the most amazingly beautiful carvings and luminaries and things. Go and have a look if you haven't already. I'm sure most of you have. She's very popular on YouTube. Seems like a lovely lady too. She's on my list to visit, but she doesn't know that, so if any of you know Sally, tell her I'm on my way to Jamaica. I mean, who wouldn't want to go to Jamaica, right? I always think you always are envious of places where you live, right? Like, you know, Jamaica to me just sounds like somewhere I would never get to in the Caribbean and all that sort of thing. But I guess if you live in America or Canada, you probably think you will never get to Fiji or Vanuatu or Noumea, and I have been to all of those places. Being in Australia, they're very close to me, and Bali, Thailand, much closer for me, I guess. And oh, they are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful places. Okay, so as I've said before, don't cut the rim off until you're ready to bowl it, because it's only gonna go do that again if it's not quite centered, which, as I've also said, with large pieces of clay like this, very difficult to center it perfectly. So and also, because I'm going to stretch this so much, I kind of need, which I forgot about till just then, I kind of need to leave my rim a bit thicker, because when you stretch out the bowl, obviously the rim's going to get thinner, very thin. So if you go from here out to here, you need all that clay to come out. So I kind of need to get some more clay at the top, which you can do just by compressing it back down. So push it back down a bit. Just move over. I always like to compress my walls when they're starting to feel a bit lumpy bumpy. It also gives you a great feel for where it's starting to thin and where you need to loosen up your pressure on your pulls and things. So one of the things my teacher taught me, and I did it then, is even if you get halfway up or 3/4 of the way up and you don't have any clay left because you've been depositing it in the wall to try and get your wall a bit thicker, still continue your pull to the top, because you want to have that consistency of pressure all the way to the top. Not an expert as to why, but I have stopped halfway before, and yeah, it puts wobbles and things in your clay, so you're better to keep going to the top. I'll just try and pull this on with my knuckle and have a good feel of what's going on. Where we're at, oh, it's a little bit dry down the bottom still. It's better. So I can feel, as always with me, there is a lot more clay at the bottom, but as I always say, I can get it at trimming. I've tried and tried and tried to work out how to pull it up from the bottom, but I'm getting better at it, like pushing from the inside as well and things like that, but it's definitely still my my weakness is all this clay down here. feels pretty good. So I'll just compress it again before I try and bowl it. Alright, so even when you're bowling it, you want it to be quite wet because you want it to slide over the rib or your hands or whatever you're using to bowl. So I might just take that rim off. And I know with these, because I've done quite a lot of these, I know that when I bowl this out, it's going to definitely be not a straight rim again, even doing this, but at least by taking that off, it's got a better starting point kind of thing. So when I stretch it out, it will it'll lose the rim again, but that's okay because then you can cut it off. If it's way out, which is what I'm hoping with this one, Defying Gravity, you can put the needle tool on the top, cut it, and the rim will fall down because bowl goes in so much, it's fine, it goes down, and then you can get it off the wheel. So I really feel like I want to get more of that clay up. But you know, whenever you keep pushing these things, you regret it, but I'm going to try. It's a bit more water inside. I feel like for 5 kilos of clay I haven't got it tall enough. I don't know, because it's only my second 5 kilos and yesterday doesn't really count, does it? Because that was definitely not a good usage of all that clay, and it was a lot of it I had to trim off. So, and a lot of it's actually still in there because of the carving that I did. The carving kind of like thinned the walls, of course, so I couldn't trim a lot because I didn't want to go through where I'd carved. Okay, that is it. So I'm just gonna, I know I already did this, but now that I've pulled it a couple of times more, I'm just gonna put the rib over it again. Compress it, get rid of the throw lines. I know whenever I say that, people comment and say, oh, well, some people like the throw lines. Well, I do too sometimes. But when you want to stretch it as much as I want to stretch this, you need it to be compressed and strong to start with, or it's just gonna flop. Okay, more water. Got a bit of water inside, but that's okay because when I stretch this out, I'll have better access to that. Cleaning up the bottom once it's stretched. Okay. So because I did those couple of pulls, the rim's gone a bit wonky again, so I might just cut it off again, which is probably a bit pointless because, as I say, when I stretch it out it's gonna go wonky again anyway, but I like to give it its best start, its best chance, even though I hate taking any kind of height off anything which is why I did just a tiny little bit then, because I don't want to take off any more height than I really have to. Alright, stop putting it off and just do it, because this is the stressful part. So I might just do the first bit. Let's try again. The first bit, the first shaping as a pull, just mainly shaping, not really pulling the clay. And you can see it's quite thin at the rim, which was when I stopped, when I pulled the other one the other day. I stopped about here, said I was going to let it dry up, and then I didn't. I kept going, and I really wish I had kept videoing, so I'm going to keep trying today. The rim is quite thin, so I hope it doesn't tear, but again, if it does, I can always cut the rim off, so it's okay. Now that's dry. I'm going to use my rib, but you still want it to be wet, so it'll slide over this beautiful rib that I always use. Love it. So that went floppy. Thought I was going to lose that rim then. So yes, we still could. Could still be another one that I need to save, need to fiddle with. So now I can get that water out that I was talking about, because I can get in there a bit easier. Okay, tempted to stop again, but I'm not going to, because I regretted it, and I might regret not stopping this time. So then what I generally do is switch to inside with my rib and kind of just switch back and forth wherever I feel like it needs it. So again, as always, it's very thick at the base and the rim is very thin. So you can, I don't know if you can see in video, but it's you can tell from here it's about the width of my wheel head now, so it's about 30 centimeters. So it's again not going to be, I can't get to my bowl now, I don't want to knock the rim. It's again, it's not going to be the size of Freddie again. But this is nice. You can see in camera the rim's quite thin, but that's normal with these because they, yeah, as I said before, you have to stretch them so much. So I might leave that there. I want to go further with it because I wanted it to really defy gravity. But it is a beautiful shape. See, that's where you get in your head, it's like, oh, I wanted this, but do I want to keep going with the potential of flopping it, or do I want to just be smart and stop? Stop there because otherwise it's going to be a plate. So there you go. So 5 kilos of clay. I feel like I have redemption on that one. So I will get the bottom stuff out. Oh, there's more. Oh, again, I can't reach my sponge. So many times I've whacked the rim, touch wood, that I'm really conscious of it now. So it's a bit bumpy inside, but I don't mind that because, again, get it at trimming, right? Fix up the rim at trimming. Let's get rid of some of this clay down here. I don't know if you can see underneath. It's kind of like bell-shaped, which I love on these bowls as well. So I may leave it like that, or I may, because there's quite a lot of clay in there, so I can kind of like get rid of that now. Again, of course, you can get that at trimming, so don't risk it too much if you think you're just gonna, which I will do at trimming. So that is that one done. Let's fire it off, so I always say. Okay. So I'll try and show you a bit better angles of it, if I can. I'm not sure about this. So you can see underneath it. I like that bell shape. And while I'm doing this, I'll show you my little, I've shown you this before, but my thingy tray for holding my tools. I love it. Get it on Amazon. Just Google grass mat. It's meant to be for drying baby bottles. So, but it's great. It makes it so easy to find your tools. Amazon. Oh, see, I did. I just hit that rim. It's alright. It wasn't too much. Let's get my water off the bat because the less water around when you're trying to dry it, I always think is the better. Now the other stressful part, moving it. So I might just put it over where there's a bit of a bigger space rather than trying to squish it on my shelf. Now I'll just do this little one of the same shape. Well, hopefully the same shape. That's my plan. The marbled one, and then let you go. I just thought it might be interesting to see the difference between a big one and a little one. So I've marbled it already. So I just put a little bit of clay on my bat. Water, a bit of water. Now, when you're throwing marbling, you just got to think about your bum, because you know I love the bum. So if you put it that way, it's going to be a bit boring. That way would just be brown. So I'm going to put it that way with the swirl. So if you don't care about the bum, put it the other way where it's going to be boring on the bottom, because then your walls will have more chance of having the marbling, which is what I should do, but I don't know. I just love it where they have the nice bums on them. So I try not to collar it and play with it too much at this point, because you don't want to lose your marbling. It'll just all muddy together. So this is about 800 grams of clay. So I did 400 of each. I've done a video on marbling, so you can go back and have a look at that if you want to see how to marble it. But I've done 400 of each and then cut each in half, so about 200 of each. So I had 4 patties in the end, and then just layered them and then wedged them off just a tiny little bit, just to try and get the marbling sort of going together, kind of thing. And then that's it. So let's see what we get. So again, same principle. You want the smaller start to the bowl so that you can go out in the outward direction. The V-shaped bowl, or bell-shaped. The other one ended up bell-shaped, so maybe this one will as well, which is fine with me. I love that shape. So again, we still want to go inwards, even with a smaller amount of clay. You want it to go in. So because I'm going to make this a V-shaped bowl, I'm not too worried about how far in, but obviously I don't want it to flop, so that's just a whole fight against gravity. So it's starting to go out again, which is fine. And it's funny when you've just had the mindset of a big piece and the height and everything. When you do a little piece like this, it's like, oh, it's not, I haven't got enough height out of it. And you kind of have to remind your brain that this is only 800 grams of clay, and it's fine. So I'd start to shape it now. You can kind of see the marbling in there. So one of the reasons that I came up with the name Mud Magic is because I was throwing marbling and showing trays before YouTube, and when I got my rib and took off the slurry slip, whatever, off the outside, I said to her, see, it's like magic. And so, you know how much I love marbling. It was kind of like, well, you know, that is a good name, Mud Magic. I was actually thinking just last night, throwing mud would be a good name too. So still using the same rib. I should have ripped the slip off the outside before I did that. Make my life easier, but anyway, I didn't, so I will try to get in the door now. So what you have to think about your order of things. I don't know if you can see under there. I'll just show you first, see how muddy it is, and then you put your rib over it. And you can see that the marbling now is showing through a lot better already. But again, when you trim marbled pieces, they really shine through trimming. Sorry, Stevie's just gone really noisy. Actually, I think it's this tray. Whoop. The tray that you're sitting on has gone noisy. Okay. So this room is wanting to go, so I will again let it dry, play with it more when it's dry. There you go. So again, I can get that more at trimming, and I can also get it more when it's a little bit drier because it is feeling a bit thin, but at least I got the shape that I wanted. So that is it. So you can see the difference between the two, the big bowl and the little bowl, how much quicker that was as well. But pretty much the same technique, just a much easier, quicker version. So I'll put quite a nice foot on that. I like, with my V-shaped bowls, I've said before, I like putting them up almost on a pedestal. That's why I leave a fair bit of clay in the bottom there. So that will shrink down to quite a nice sized bowl, I believe. I like that. I don't know why, you know, I always say I don't like brown, but I love the brown and white marbling. I think it's so pretty. So there we go. So I'll show you that one a bit better if I can. So there you go. And outside's a bit hard because it's a bit dark, but especially with the shadow of my arm doesn't help. I can't really do it. Anyway, you will get to see it hopefully in a kiln unload if it survives trimming. So that is it. That was what I wanted to show you. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something from it. I feel vindicated. I feel like that was a much better video than the last one. Probably still leave it up because I like the ninja pulling the middle, but I might crop just down to that part of it. But I'm going to change the thumbnail on that one to how it's ended up because I'm just so in love with it. So that is it. So thank you very much again for watching. Stay muddy and have a magic day. Bye.